Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be building a very large mansion in The Sims 1 on a budget of 1 million simoleons. So it's going to be a mansion for a very wealthy Sim, most likely a Sim who has pursued fame and made a lot of money in their career and now needs something to spend all the money on. I got the idea for this lot firstly from the video I made 2 videos ago, which was building a starter home on a 15,000 simoleon budget. So it was quite a tight budget, but I really wanted to see how possible it was to make quite a nice starter home, even if it was small and even below the typical starter budget that you have of 20,000 simoleons. I thought it would be fun to try and do the opposite extreme, if you like. So in the case of this video, the budget is not so much a restraint as it is a need to fill the budget and kind of make the house as expensive as possible, almost to the point of where it's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, I've never had a Sim that's had 1 million simoleons spare cash unless I've used money cheats. And obviously you could always use money cheats to buy an expensive house anyway, but I think if you're kind of playing the game almost rags to riches style and gradually building up your Sims wealth and step by step looking for a larger, more expansive, luxurious house for them, it's kind of like how far can you go with that while still keeping it realistic with the actual gameplay without cheating, if that makes sense. And then aside from the gameplay need to have a very expensive house for a wealthy Sim, I had just kind of wanted to build a celebrity mansion, but I think the prospect of trying to build something quite big can seem a bit intimidating sometimes. So I kind of decided I would have to go quite gradually, quite step by step. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of building the house. There's not going to be footage in the video of absolutely every room and every part of the house. I didn't include everything because it was going to make the video far too long, but you'll be able to see all of the rooms and all parts of the house finished at the end of the video. So initially when I started building, I had this idea that I wanted the whole house to be very monochrome and I wanted everything to be mostly black and white, with very few colorful objects, and I wanted the decor to be quite minimal and quite serious in a way. But then I decided that might be a little bit limiting, and I thought it might be fun to kind of have more of a blend of different styles in different parts of the house. The building style that sets the tone for the whole build is really the Fashion District in Studio Town. There's the Gas District lot and the Buckingham Galleries lot. I always found both of these lots to be very visually impressive and just really beautiful places for your Sims to visit, even though whenever your Sim goes there, they're actually working. I find them both to be very spacious lots that make a lot of use of both the inside and the outside spaces, and this kind of outside-inside spacious feel was something I wanted to try and incorporate. So one of the mansion's main themes, in a way, was courtyards. I wanted there to be multiple courtyards that could be accessed in multiple different ways, depending on where your Sim is in the house. And I really like the idea that these courtyards are all fairly private, and they're all surrounded by the walls of the actual house itself, because I think sometimes when I think of a very large mansion with a lot of outdoor space, I think of the house kind of existing and then the outdoor space existing outside of that, and then the edge of the lot being outside of that. But in this case, I wanted the house to kind of be the border of the lot itself, with the outside spaces still being outside but being within the property somehow. So the main entrance to the property is through the main courtyard, and there are 2 archways leading into it. And then there's the swimming pool on the left-hand side of this courtyard, and at the far end of the courtyard is the main front door to the house. But this main front door is more like a portal to the 2 wings of the house, I suppose you could say. The wing on the right-hand side and the wing on the left-hand side. If you go straight through the front door and through a door just behind it, you go straight out into another courtyard, the second courtyard, where there is a small pond and then access to the back exit of the property. There's a spiral staircase on the right-hand side of this courtyard, which is another entrance point to the right-hand wing of the house. But then on the left, there is a kind of covered walkway that leads you through 2 arches and into the third courtyard. The third courtyard is the smallest of the 3 courtyards. It leads you to one of the downstairs living areas and the only bedroom that's on the ground floor. This ground floor bedroom has an ensuite bathroom next to it, of course, and this bathroom backs onto the downstairs spa. I say the downstairs spa as if there's an upstairs spa, but there's only one spa and it's all downstairs. I think originally I had wanted to have the spa upstairs, but I thought it might be nice to have it directly connected to the swimming pool, which obviously is outside. It's connected to the first courtyard, the large courtyard. I decided to design the swimming pool as mostly outdoors, but I wanted part of it to be indoors as well. So if you're outside swimming, you could go inside without having to get out of the swimming pool outside. You could swim inside and then get out of the pool inside, or vice versa. And then if you do swim inside, you can then access the spa that way. So there's a couple of mud baths and steam baths and a shower room with toilet stools and sinks as well. And then there's also a private massage room, a room with a hot tub, and a room with an oxygen bar. I placed multiple doors at various points in the spa so that you can access it quite easily. I had kind of been wondering, if you had a sim throw a house party and there were a lot of sims over and they wanted to use different parts of the spa, they could kind of move around really easily. I think overall the spa, I was still very much going for the studio town vibes, the fashion district, but also the spas in the Fairchild Film Studios lot and the Studio Town Centre. They both have quite extensive spas, and I think a sim who's worked their way up in Studio Town and has spent a lot of time there, it would probably be natural and pretty exciting for them to be able to afford that kind of space in their own home once they're rich enough. But then I didn't want every part of the house to look like it just came straight from Studio Town. So in the right hand wing of the house is where the main kitchen, dining and entertaining area is. And I like to think that this is the part of the house where maybe the extravagant famous sim living here wants to express a bit of their personality. I mean, the kitchen is pretty plain and straightforward. You'll see that at the end of the video. But I wanted the entertaining area to be quite extravagant. So there's a dance floor area with a DJ booth and disco lighting and multiple drinks cabinets and lots of small tables for partying sims to sit and eat and socialize. Then there's a kind of almost hidden extra party room at the end of the dance floor where there's a little space with the cake that contains the party dancers if you ask them to come out. And then beyond another little curtain is a dark blacked out room with some neon lights and a dance cage, so you can kind of go back there and let loose a little bit. I also wanted the party vibes to kind of carry on upstairs as well. So if you go up the white staircase that's in the dining area, it takes you straight up into a room with a karaoke stage and an electric keyboard. There's a few places to sit and another punch bowl, because there's already a punch bowl in the dining room. So I imagine Sims are going to have a lot of fun drinking punch and singing karaoke together. In the room just behind is the private home cinema. I originally wanted to have an indoor pond room up here. You know, the pond that you can just place down and you can feed the fish or sailboats on it? I didn't realize you could put that on the second floor of a house, but you actually can. And I'd kind of thought it would be fun to have like a fake green grassy inside room with a pond in it, but it just kind of looked a little bit odd and it didn't really make sense somehow. I like the ridiculousness of it in a way, because I think that's quite suitable for a rich celebrity who can afford to have whatever they want in their house. But I felt a home cinema would make a little bit more sense somehow. So we're kind of incorporating a bit of the Studio Town Art Deco style into the house as well, because I feel like Studio Town has these two main styles: the early 2000s sleek, glamorous style, and then the more old school golden age of Hollywood Art Deco style. So I didn't want the entire house to just be some kind of an imitation of the fashion district, even though that's what the exterior of the house is kind of inspired by. I think the way the developers blended the two styles when they imagined what Studio Town would look like and when they built the lots for it is so interesting and creative. And there's almost something kind of surreal or whimsical maybe about it as a place when you see Marilyn Monroe wandering around at the exact same time as Avril Lavigne or Christina Aguilera. I remember being a bit disappointed that the building in the top right hand corner of the Studio Town map was not interactable. It looks like a place you would take your Sims to for some kind of awards ceremony. And I felt the same about the building next to the Music for the Eyes Inc. lot. I always thought it looked like some kind of outdoor performance venue, or I don't know, maybe a place where your Sims music videos would be premiered for the first time for a public audience, because it's right next to the part of Studio Town where music videos are recorded. I don't know, I think I just find everything about Studio Town very captivating and kind of stimulating for the imagination. I wanted to have one room in this house that would be kind of reminiscent of some of the offices you see in Studio Town, where the great minds behind the movies produced in Studio Town are hard at work. So on the second story, right at the front of the house, on the right hand side, I built a kind of office slash study slash billiard room. I really wanted to use the red pool table object because I feel like I never ever use it, and I feel like it goes pretty well with the kind of Art Deco style. This study room is just down the hall from where the private cinema is, and in between the two rooms is a scuba diving tank, and there's a couple of windows on one side of the tank that look out onto one of the balconies, one of the upstairs balconies. So maybe a Sim swimming in the tank might be able to see what's going on in the courtyard down below. I don't know if they'd be able to see that far if they've got scuba diving gear on. I found it a little bit awkward trying to decide where to put the scuba diving tank, because I knew I definitely wanted to have it in this house. I felt like this house is the perfect house for this kind of object and is definitely big enough. But at the same time, it is so kind of obscure and out there that it doesn't necessarily look like it makes sense. It's more like the owner of the house has been very intentional in allowing a space big enough to have such a specific object that they obviously want to have. On the balcony next to the scuba diving tank, I put a basketball hoop and a telescope and a couple of chairs as well. So it is a nice place to just kind of chill and look down below, because I think there's a lot to look at. The beautiful pool, the fountain and statues and flowers in the courtyard. Then right at the front of the house, there is actually a secret exit / entrance from the study / billiard room that will lead a sim out onto a narrow bridge that kind of crosses over to the left wing of the house. And I feel like this exit / entrance is a little bit secret because I used the Monticello full-length windows, I think that's what they're called, and the matching doors. But from a distance, they kind of look very, very similar. You can't necessarily tell which is a door and which is a window. But if you look closely, you can see that what you'd maybe expect to just be a window is actually a door. And the same is true on the other side of the house, on the left wing. So a sim can escape through the study and go to the other side of the house where there is a secret dressing room and bedroom and ensuite bathroom. So this part of the house is only accessible through this secret entrance, if that makes sense. There's no other way to get up there. And it's really a bedroom for a sim who doesn't want to be disturbed. I imagine maybe it's the main bedroom of the house. It's not necessarily bigger than any of the other bedrooms, but because of its position, it feels like a place you could go and hide in if you wanted to not deal with, for example, all of your party guests, or you've just had enough of your family and you want to have some peace and quiet. If you want to access the rest of the upstairs on the left wing, there's a spiral staircase leading up from the pool area that takes you out onto a balcony that goes mostly over the third courtyard, the really small courtyard. And from this balcony, you've got access to another bedroom suite, kind of like the hidden one, the one that has a secret entrance. But instead of a dressing room, this one has a small library with a little seating area, an electric guitar. And then there's also access to two smaller bedrooms that are kind of pastel colors. There's a pastel blue and a pastel purple room. And the two of these rooms, they just have single beds. So these could be for children, theoretically. I put children's toy boxes in each of them. And there's a Jack and Jill bathroom in between each room. So it's kind of like they've got an ensuite bathroom, but they've got to share it. You can also access the left wing of the upstairs from the main hallway, right by the main entrance on the ground floor. There's a white staircase that leads upstairs, and there's a small room at the top of the stairs that contains a servo, and then also quite a spacious seating area with a black display cabinet for a famous sim to put all of their awards that they've won in Studio Town. I like to think if there was a sim visiting this house who didn't necessarily know where everything was and they were kind of walking around the house, maybe trying to find a bathroom or something, they could maybe find themselves getting a little bit lost, but also they could maybe have fun kind of exploring the house and like seeing what could be around the corner, or what happens if I go up this staircase, or what happens if I go down this staircase. I hope it's not been too confusing the way I've explained the floor plan and where all the different rooms are. I hope it kind of makes sense and you can kind of get a feel for what the house is like. The cost of the house ended up being 924,241 simoleons. So it's actually significantly under $1 million, Although I would say you definitely want to have more than $1 million if you were going to buy this house. I really hate to imagine how expensive the bills are going to be, on top of the fact that all of the objects in the house are gonna depreciate in value after midnight on a Sim's first day living here. So if they don't have a significant amount of extra cash in their bank account, they could end up running into financial difficulties. So I think that is everything I wanted to say about this house. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.